everybody, it's Casual Boobs coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering the AMX Cda 105, the Kanun Desu, I think is how you pronounce it. But before we get into that, I guess it's I just want to say, if you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell button because I make new stuff all the time. And also, if you're on the NA server, we have the Boops community, Boops and Boop 2. If you're on EU, we now have the Boops clan for EU. That link is in the description. If you're on Asia, there is an Asian Boops clan as well. Link for that in the description. If you like my content, you would like to maybe buy me a beer about it, there is a link for that in the description as well. You can do that now too. So now that I got all that shilling out of the way, thank you for staying with me. The AMX Cda, it's been in the game for a while, a few years at least, 5 or 6 years or something like that. It's the only French tier 8 tank destroyer that is a premium, and it's fine. It's a fine tank. And I'm just gonna run through it now. We're gonna go over the stats, and probably the easiest way to compare the stats, or to talk about the stats, is to compare it to the Kanun 105, the German one of the German tier 8 tank destroyers. It plays somewhat similarly, right? And they look kind of similar, and they both don't have turrets and so on and so forth. And in a lot of ways, they would play very similarly. So they're basically the same for DPM, and penetration is great on both of them. 260 standard pen and 268 are both functionally identical, and they both get APCR. So like, the other thing is you get a premium round that's a 310 heat round, which is good. That's good. And I think the let's see, the Kanun gets a 330 penetration heat round, which is, that is better. That's a thing. But anyways, otherwise, the rate of fire is about the same, right? The shell velocity is very good on both standard rounds. The other thing is you don't really need, the thing I like about tank destroyers is they're great for money making because they don't necessarily need to shoot a lot of premium. 260 gets a lot of work done. So that's worth noting. Ammo capacity difference is kind of annoying, but not a big deal. Here's the part that I really want to talk about, the gun handling. So when you look at these stats with all this red would make you think that the Kanun has worse gun handling characteristics, and technically it does, but effectively, in my opinion, it does not, and this is why. It's this gun traverse stat right here that I can't highlight where the shit right now. And what that means is that neither of these tanks have turrets. So if you're sitting there with the hull stationary, on the CDA, it's got 10 degrees to the left and 10 degrees to the right. So you can turn the barrel 10 degrees this way and 10 degrees that way. So it's a 20-degree cone that you can shoot at, which is pretty narrow, right? And the Kanun has 15 degrees to this side and 15 degrees to that side, which is 30-degree cone. Which is 50% more, right? It's a big deal. So what that means effectively is it's a lot easier to put yourself in a position in the Kanun where you can see a big wide area, and if something appears over here or something appears over there, you can put your gun on it without having to move your hull. And so because of that, you don't have to deal with the hull traverse like these soft stats, which are very bad. So I find it a lot easier, a lot more well-behaved gun on the Kanun, just because I'm not spending so much time moving the hull and having the thing bloom out, and then I have to aim back in, and then move the hull again, and it blooms out again, and so on and so forth. So this is the thing. It would make you think that the Kanun gun is worse, but I don't think it is because of this. So that's a big deal. They both have 8 degrees in gun depression. I will say the CDA has 0.29 base dispersion, which is fantastic. That's something to look forward to. The other thing is the Kanun is faster. I think it's faster, and it's hard to quantify exactly because it's obscured by ground resistances, right? The Kanun has a power to weight of about 20. The CDA has a power to weight of 26. And so 26 is very good. However, the forward speed, the max forward speed is 55. So you definitely notice that you're going to be top speed limited quite a bit. Versus the Kanun 70, and then the ground resistances on the Kanun are like god tier amazing, right? So that's like half, I think. Yeah, I think it's half. So this thing, effectively, I think the Kanun is substantially faster than the CDA, but only because of these ground resistances, and it's difficult to exactly quantify how that affects things, but it's a big deal. But it's not to say that the CDA is slow per se, because its power to weight is pretty awesome. So they both move pretty decently fast. I wouldn't call either one of them slow, but I definitely would call the Kanun fast, right? So that's something that's worth noting. The armor is cheese on the Kanun. You definitely, if you can get just penned with HE from everything on the Knudden. The CDA does have some armor. It's not great, but it is some armor. Okay, so having said that, we move on down the station. The camo values in both tanks are great. View range on both tanks is awful, and we'll get into that in just a second. And that is the stats. So now we're going to get into the armor. I'll get into the armor here real quick. So if you look at this, it does look nice. It just looks nice. Look at all those curves and angles, and I like how it looks. And it's something about the compact nature of how it, I don't know. It's an attractive tank. I like the way it looks. I wish that I liked and I enjoyed playing the tank more than I do. And maybe I need to play it more often to get used to it more. But anyways, so it doesn't, you're going to look at this thing and you're going to say, wow, that armor looks like cheese. And it kind of is. The big thing here is it does have this very well angled front slope on the front. So if you're using, I mean, okay, a lot of people like to say, look at what it can do when you're using all of the gun depression. And that's true. It does look like this. However, not most of the time, you're not going to be able to use all of the gun depression, right? How often does that happen? Not that often. So let's just say you're using half the gun depression. All right, well, that's still pretty okay. And as soon as, you know, as you get further down, I mean, you're relying on slopes. The point is the armor can be trollish, but it's not something that I would rely on, right? You'll probably have a bounce here and there, and you'll be surprised by it, and that's fine. But it's definitely not something that you can just sit there and dare somebody to shoot at you with, because their armor's not that great. So now we'll get on to the builds. So there's two builds that I would do for this, right? Two different styles, and this is going to be debatable. I'm not totally set on either one of these things, but these are the things that I thought would be good. One of them is all about camo and vision and long range, you know, like picturing Prokhorovka and you have no scouts. Or I would just maybe Prokhorovka and you do have scouts, but maybe if they die, then you can be the scout. And then the other one is like maps like Ensk or Himmelsdorf, where scouting, you know, camo doesn't really matter, and you're gonna probably end up brawling either way. And so for the camo one, this is the equipment that I would run, right? So you got your improved, you've got your low noise exhaust and the improved slot to maximize that camo, which again, with your camo crew, can actually get pretty silly high, right? 51 stationary is god tier, and 35 moving is pretty good. That'll get you into bushes for sure. I'm using the binoculars only because the commander is a radio man, which means it's kind of tough. Like, you have all your commander skills, and then you also got to get the radio man view range skills. So it's hard to get view range. And also 360 base means you're only getting 36 meters of view range from your optics. So it's really hard to get out there to max and beyond max. So I'm recommending binoculars because the vision constraints in this thing are pretty significant. And then I'm actually going to recommend the improved aiming and the improved slot, because that gets your final accuracy down to 0.24, which is just stupid. Yes, you will not be shooting as often, right? You don't have your rammer, but in those games in like Prokhorovka, how often are you loading and shooting? Not that often. A lot of times it's you're waiting for your shot, somebody spotted, you hit them, and then you back down out of cover so you don't get spotted, and so on and so forth. So it's more important to hit the shots that you have than it is to be shooting 10% faster. So this is my opinion. This is what I would do, because 0.24 is intoxicating. And then the other one is games like Ensk, again, where it's all about maneuverability, and you're basically going to be brawling. And I'm again using the improved aiming because I love this thing, and 0.24 is great. And you got your rammer, so you can lay the hammer down. But then I also used a turbo, because that gets your top speed up to, like, you can be light tank fast. That also buffs your reverse speed, so you can pull around a corner, shoot something, and then back around the corner so that you're not taking a hit in return. That's what I would do. These are the field mods that I would always take, right? Always the reinforced suspension. This maintaining speed while crossing terrain types is just super overpowered. So this is the one. Always this one for the improved dispersion. That's why we get down to 0.24. Always the view range for other reasons I've mentioned before. This after firing is garbage. And then I use the scouting slot so that on the previous build you could have the improved the low noise exhaust giving you an extra bonus. So this is what I would do for a build. Let me know what you guys think. If that's dumb, or if you disagree, or whatever, just don't use a camo net. Please God, do not use a camo net. So, all right, without further ado, we'll get into the gameplay. Alright, so in this particular game, we're going to be watching Schwacht playing in his CDA on Karelia. It's a standard battle. There's tier 8s and tier 9s in the game. And just pay attention to how quick the Schwacht was off the line, right? He was able to get up to his top speed pretty darn quick, and he was going down a hill a little bit. But, like, the thing is zippy, right? 26 power to weight. You definitely notice that. And so the tank is, like I said, it's no slouch. It's not like light tank fast, but it's quick enough that he's trying to get to this bush so that he can use these bushes and get shots on light tanks and medium tanks that are trying to make their way up the hill. Look at the gun bloom on that. Oh my god. But finally it gets down to, you know, where once you let it aim in, the gun behaves pretty well. And so that's really what you're going for here. And Schwacht has optics and let's see, he has optics and vents and a rammer on this thing, and you can see the lack of view range. He was not able to spot that Astron Rex until it was all the way up, coming onto the hill already. And you know, like, basically he has the accuracy to hit these shots way off in the distance, but he doesn't have the view range to be able to spot things while they're still in range, or while he's still able to shoot them as they come up the hill. And so that's one of the things I would, if he had binoculars, he would be able to see things a lot further out. And like this, at this KV5, he gets in for free because we couldn't see him in time. But if he had binoculars, you could see him. Man, nailing that tracking shot on the Type 59 is pretty huge, and that's one guy out of the game. But you notice here, so we have a KV5 on the hill, or is it they have a KV5 on the hill, and a Barask, and something else, an Astron Rex, which is not ideal, right? And so now as soon as we see an AT-15, Schwacht switches to heat rounds, I'm pretty sure here. But the hill's not looking great. We have a Progetto and a Barask, and neither one of those things is all that great for brawling, right? Those aren't the kinds of things that you want up on, you know, fighting against an Astron and a KV5. So it's not going very well. And so, I don't know, it's something where you want to just pay attention to the flow of battle. We have a bunch of guys going north. This brawl in the south looks like it's probably not going to go very well because KV5 doesn't care. And so it's good to just be cognizant of what the team is doing, even if you're, you know, looking, you know, Schwacht's got this shot here, and oh my god, it goes exactly where you want. But look at the KV5. KV5 doesn't care, so it's good to keep in mind that flank is gone. Progetto's by himself now. It's 1 versus 3 if they ever push around. He's gone. Schwacht sees that, runs away, right? And so this is key. These kinds of decisions are why I chose to show this replay. It's a great game, and it shows the CDA, so why not? I haven't featured the CDA before, but the main reason I wanted to show this replay is because Schwacht does a really good job of paying attention to how the team and how the game is being played and where the flow of battle takes you. And so he's going to fall back here because that E50, right, that we were right next to him, E50 didn't move. And now E50 got spotted, and E50 is getting wrecked. So this is exactly it. When you, like, looking at the flow of battle and seeing when to fall back is hugely important. Because now Schwacht is able to, you know, look at this 257. He's able to put himself in a position to stop that 257 from flanking. If anybody tries to push around on our guys, he'll have shots. And so it's a great supporting position, and it was important that he got there just exactly when he did. The timing was perfect. Now we're going to try to feather out a shot. He's looking at the ground. There's a bit of the ground, and I don't know. There must have been a rock. Or physics or something like that. But you can see the bush cover and the 257 must not have very good view range, or there's a tree in the way. And so we're going to wait, aim the shot, and aim. Don't rush the shot. The turret on the 257 is garbage. And so we're able to put a heat round in. But you can see, like, he's struggling a little bit with the gun depression over that hill, right? Because 8 degrees. If it had 10, he would have been able to work that a lot easier. But and now this TNH is gonna have a problem because it's just Schwacht and the Charioteer, and that's it. And he's got this 257 to deal with, and so Schwacht decides this might have been an error. Honestly, you probably should just let the TNH die. Honestly, but if we can aim a shot in, put one on the cupola, so that helps a lot. And somehow we're still not spotted. And but again, this is risky because now he's close enough where if somebody were to pull around the hill on the right, you can see the view range circles on the map. This is why it's important to keep those in mind. And yeah, so the KV5 is not what spotted him. It's probably that AT-15, honestly. But the AT-15 can now see Schwacht because he is within those view range circles, and so now Schwacht's going to get shot once, maybe twice. Luckily not twice. We're going to use this rock to try to get unspotted. and then we're going to back up and try to, you know, see if we can get out of the view range circle, right? So the blue circle is Schwack's view range, which is still not very good. Even with optics and vents, he still can't get out to max. And the, what is it? It's like a brown, like a light brown circle is the 445 max view range. So you know, if you're outside of that range, you will not be spotted no matter what. Oh my god, there must have been the dead tank must have just barely gotten in the way. So that's the goal, is that Schwack is trying to use, and that, I'm pretty sure that must have been spotted by the Charioteer, because there's no way that Schwack spotted that. But that's okay. So now the north push on our team has died, right? We've noticed that they've all died. The Type 61 clean to the middle. We seem to have dissuaded everybody from pushing the other side, right? The Charioteer and the CDA have decided, have basically, everybody that's pushed her on the right side has died, so it seems like those guys have learned their lesson. They're not going to keep running up that same line, which is, you know, which is the right play. Like, don't keep running your face in. So now we need to go ahead and figure out what's going over here so we can dissuade anybody from coming. Aim, and be patient, and you will be rewarded. And so we're able to use this bush, but you can see, ideally, if you had more gun depression, you could use that dip, that depression, a lot easier. Schwack almost has to get out of the bush to use that, just because he doesn't have the gun depression. So aim at the side armor of the Striv. Because the Striv has very good, very well sloped armor, if you'd have hit the center mass, it would have bounced. But if you hit it in the side armor and the tracks and stuff, it'll definitely penetrate, just like you've just seen here twice in a row. But yeah, it's not looking great, right? We've got 3,800 damage plus some possible blind shots, and you know, but like it's four. We have 4 tanks and they have 8 tanks. This is not looking great. Schwack intentionally reloads a heat round so that he can shoot this Striv when he's because the APCR in this case, because the Striv is looking at us, is going to be a very hard pen. But now, since he's looked away, it's hard to remember exactly where he was. That's a little low, Schwacked, and I think he shot right in front. But oh well, doesn't matter. And now it looks like the Striv returned blind fire into that bush. So a good thing that Schwack got out of the way. But this is tough. This is a tough part of the game. You just always want to be keeping vision to make sure nobody's sneaking up behind. And I'm surprised that one hit, because if this were my tank, it would not have hit. But now we're spotted, so we just want to stay behind this rock and stay safe from artillery, because they still have artillery. But yeah, it doesn't look great, but honestly, you just never know. Try to get as much damage out of each game as you possibly can, and there's a lot of one-shots. The Astron's a one-shot, the Barras, the GSOR, the Striv is a 2-shot. So this game isn't over, you know? You just gotta take your time and take it one engagement at a time. And if we can take this Emil out and take the Astron out, then we kind of, I mean, there's Barras. Oh my god, there's so much stuff to shoot. And luckily, you know, it would have been nice to keep our artillery alive, but I'm happier that, honestly, if I was the Barask, I would have shot that Charioteer and not the artillery, because the Charioteer was more of a threat. But that's okay. Because of that, he kind of screwed this up. And we're going to try to flank the Striv, because the Striv is only worth a crap if it's looking right at you. So as soon as you flank it, it's easy money. And hopefully this T-44 can, yes, put the shot in. Okay, so we've kind of turned this around. It's 2-3. There's a one-shot Astron Rex, an artillery that's ever present, ever persistent, and a T-30 that's last spotted at A7. We don't know where he is now. We don't really know how many hit points he has. But we'll just see. And we're going to head back over here, because the Astron's probably heading up this way. And use the bush cover and use the hard cover and try to be... Oh god, we're spotted. Oh, and that's... See, that Astron Rex was able to get the first shot on us, even though we were right there. Partially, I think, because Schwack doesn't have very good view range. He doesn't... Like, if he was in a CDA and he had binoculars, I think he would have been able to sit in that bush, you know, wait for 3 seconds, binoculars popped up, Astron gets spotted, you shoot the Astron dies. I think that could have gone that way, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. The Astron is dead. Both of, you know, Schwack is on 474 hit points, which is, you know, he's a one-shot for the T-30, but our T-44 100 is not a one-shot. And honestly, I think this might be kind of a mistake. I think the T-44 is going to try to go to the hill and try to get some vision, or get some, just try to figure out where things are. But I think they probably should have stayed together. because now they're splitting up and Schwack's going back to the base, and he's definitely spotted from this T-30. But he's armor, demonstrating the auto bounce angle on the front of the armor, and you know that T-30 is mad. But we're able to put a good shot in. You got to just wait and let the gun behave. If you rush the shots, you're going to be disappointed. Right, and the ever-present artillery is aware of our existence, and I think this might also be a bit of a mistake too, because Schwack probably should have just disengaged, you know, just totally run away, gone somewhere else, totally under the bottom of the hill, and then come up on maybe like the 1 line, because he had time. But instead he's spotted now again, and that's very dangerous because their artillery is obviously paying attention, and you got underneath of the gun from the T-30, and that's why. Yeah, the T-30 is not dangerous, but you are proxy spotting the T-30. So he knows where you are, so the T-44-100 can get off the hill and hopefully kill this artillery. Let's go ahead and wait and see. I mean, he's got to finish this up quick, because if you get spotted from the artillery, then the T-30 might have shots on you as well. So look at this. Okay, and he gets shot. Oh my God, he gets shot again by that artillery. Well played to the artillery. And in doing so also gets lit and then gets shot from the T-40 or the T-30. So very unfortunate. All right, so at the end of the game, Schwack managed to take home 5,175 damage, 4 kills, 750 blocked thanks to that T-30, and 1,500 assist. That was an ace tanker, a high caliber. He got his first mark of excellence, so congrats to Schwack. That ended up getting him 900 base XP on the loss, which is pretty high because, you know, for a loss, you don't normally see XP values that high, but I'm sure part of that was because of the courageous resistance from getting the Battle Heroes Medal of Top Gun, or I'm sorry, High Caliber. Managed to take home a profit, of 122,000 credits. But some of that was with a mission and a personal reserve and stuff. So even without that, I think he probably would have taken home 60 or so thousand credits. You know, he did shoot some premium rounds, but mostly you don't need to shoot a lot of premium rounds out of this tank because the standard pen is so good, as long as you're willing to let the gun behave. So that is it, and that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks to Schwack for sending in the replay. And let me know what you guys think about the CDA. Is this a tank that you want to play now, or do you think it needs a buff, or what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.